Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to a video that's been a long time in the making. We are going to be talking about the entirety of the MasaWorks universe timeline. It's a thing that I've been working on for, procrastinating on for a while now, and I think it's finally time we get to it. Just a lot of stuff with school and stuff like that, but I finally feel like, I'm up for the job. As always, I'm your host, Nightcore, the snack that smells back, who multiple days ago ate most of an undercooked pizza and threw the other half out because I don't know why. I don't know where I was going with this. I watch way too much MK and Matt Rose. But as always, let's get on with the video. So, before we get to the real meat of the timeline, we first got to go back to the past a little bit. The gods, more specifically Shikyo. So she is the goddess of death in this universe, which of course means that the existence of gods in this universe is of course real. We got a lot of gods, that have been mentioned, like Ebisu, Bishamonten, all that stuff. And so Shikyo, she committed a lot of acts, against a lot of people whom have been atheists, which might explain why Shikyo had such a distaste for Mai and Ryo since they were atheists. Well, basically the entirety of the Shishikusa clan were atheists whom we're not really big believers on gods or any other higher power being. And before I continue on, I of course got a lot of this from multiple pages on the Anabi wiki or MasaWorks series wiki. So that's of course where I get a lot of this. Just credit the source. But let's keep going. So this case was known as Shikyo's procession, which means, or we can only assume means that Shikyo, was cursed in multiple villages one after another, whose people are atheists and non-believers, and making them kill each other, resulting in a genocide. This could be related to, the deal that Shikyo had with Akari, or the deal that Shikyo had with Emi. Since there might possibly be a relation with them in the Shishikusa clan, we already know, Akari's relation. It's definitely not a healthy one. But Emi's, we don't exactly know. We don't exactly know a lot about Emi. All we know is that she's probably some kind of doll maker or something like that, which can explain the doll that was in Will-O-the-Wisp. But anyways, continuing on with the past. So it definitely seems like that this could be possibly a Yaburazuka clan, since we don't really know too much about the Yaburazuka clan, but we could probably infer that they might be at least somewhat religious. I mean, we don't really know from a religious standpoint too much. So then we go on to a little tale that Ryo read in a book once, about, this dude who lived in a village and it was later cannibalized. And when describing Shikyo's possession, the dude mentioned how the Yaburazuka brothers were ruthless when it came to killing members of her villages. So, yeah. And then just a lot more stuff about, gods and people not believing in gods. Which, I mean, fair enough, man. If, you're someone and people don't believe in your existence, then I guess you could probably see that as a bit insensitive or offensive. That's fair enough, but I mean, hey, at the end of the day, people are gonna believe what they're gonna believe, and if you want people to believe in you, then give them a sign. Easy enough, right? Or state evidence of your existence. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, let's continue on to the next part of this, which is a little bit more to, present day of the series, or, a little bit closer to present day, talking about Tsukuyomi. So she was basically the founder of the Yaburazuka clan, and she was said to have the ability to like absorb the sickness of people. It doesn't like rid the sickness from existence. It basically just transfers it to her, which is definitely not great for her health. Then like one day this little jet was like brought to her, and the people were like, please save him of his sickness. And then Tsukiyomi, being chill like that, absorbed the sickness, but I'm pretty sure like took a toll on her. And she was on the verge of death. And her brother Mikoto, seeing the pain, decided to lend her his immortal powers like a real G, like a real bro, and so that she could stay alive and continue caring for the clan. So, just a real G in that respect, props to you, Mikoto. But then, one day, she finally lost it. She went on a murderous rampage where one of her eyes went red and like half of her hair went red, and she would kill people, just bloody murder. And Mikoto, seeing this was like, oh my god, what have I done? And used the rest of his powers to seal his mortal body and Tsukiyomi and some kind of like altar. And that's it for Tsukiyomi's story for now. Now we're gonna go to part of the Maha story. More specifically with Phyrexia, another one of the immortal like demons or whatever, with Tsukiyomi being one of them, and then there's this dude Morian who came in sometime. We don't know too much about him. So, oh, I hit my mic. So basically the story of her reads, long ago the girl was born in a rough age. The blind dragon seeks to find the power to take revenge on those who took everything from her. The girl finally found the grave of God and called upon a blind dragon. The dragon offered to take the girl's sight in exchange for power. The girl accepted and became invulnerable in exchange for her vision, gaining the power of the dragon. The girl eliminated all the people who took away everything from her and fulfilled revenge. After that, the girl was able to use her powers in the kingdom, continuing to fight for as long as 100 years and became quite honorable. As more girls arrived, somehow the dragons offered a support attack from the sky and destroyed enemies with enormous power. In the year she fought, Phyrexia became the legend known as the Dragon Knight. The girl is captured as a witch in the kingdom, suspected for her unusual strength and unchanging appearance. She is executed but does not die, causing fear of people and calling heroes devils. And by the power of the wise men, she was imprisoned in a dungeon of the kingdom, sleeping eternally. And after a long time, Chlordane came to this place. Of course, referencing that, Chlordane, freed her from her internal prison. But that's way later in the series. So, now we're going to move on to, present day Onabe series, more specifically in Castletown, where the entirety of this, takes, a lot of the stuff here takes place. First off, we're going to talk about Ryo's older sister, since she was, of course, the one who was born first. She is the older sister, after all. And so, it's not much is known about her past, but, it is very that she was born in the Onizuka family, or possibly the Onigumo clan, which had been known to forbid bearing a child who doesn't even know of her own father. And that had been the case with Ryo's sister. She got pregnant at an age younger than her niece, Mai Shishikusa, or presumably at an age younger than 18, which infuriated her parents. Rightfully so. After a huge fight between them, it ended with Ryo's sister being disowned and kicked out of the house soon after. She wanted to become an alcoholic and miscarried as a result, and Ryo's sister took this as a lifestyle of some sort, sleeping with one man to another, falling pregnant and miscarrying several times. Then we go on to Tominari. So not much is known about Tominari's childhood, but what is known is that when he was a young boy, his father was never around because of work. Back then, whenever he'd go to the kitchen, the household cook, Toki-san, would always be there. He'd say that he was hungry out of loneliness. Then she'd serve him miso soup and rice, and they would eat together. Whenever Tominari's mother died, was divorced or left out of her own will is unspecified. Then we move on to Ryo's past, but of course, by Tominari I of course meant Ryo's husband. Pretty sure all of you who've watched my previous videos on the series know about that. So not much can be known about Rio's past, but what is known is the fact that she received a demonic blade, which was described as a work to for the Onigumos, the clan that Rio possibly could have belonged to before the Shishikusas. The blade was given to her a long time ago as proof of becoming a full-fledged executioner after possibly being trained under her uncle Genji. Holy shit, is this a crossover with Overwatch? Of course not. Sometime after before her, okay, so now we're moving on to more of Rio's sister. So sometime after before Rio's sister was kicked out of their household at an age younger than 18, and as a result of feeling pregnant with her father. I think we already knew about that. I don't know why I added that twice into the notes. I'm just gonna delete that. We don't need to know about that. So anyways, more about Rio. She then got married to Tominari not too long after that. The circumstances they met are unfortunately not mentioned. So apparently Tominari and Rio do the old business with exclamations of kidnapping young women and trafficking them for the Deimos entertainment a long time ago. Yeah, just the business of human trafficking. Nothing too major. I'm gonna need to put a disclaimer, at the beginning. I'm probably gonna have to do that. It's a fucking MasaWorks series. Of course I'm gonna have to do that. You crazy? Until Tominari told her that it needed to be stopped, and she agreed. The reason why he made this decision is unknown. She later gave birth to Mai and left that sort of work behind her for good, and promised to change her ways of life even if she can't erase her previous crimes. So anyways, before we move on to more of the the known stuff about the Yanabe series that's like mainstream, we're gonna first talk about a character who's not really mentioned too much. A dude who goes by the name of Daji. So he's a minor character in the series and served as Mai's bodyguard or something like that. So anyways, Daji was born in the Masaoka clan. I probably butchered that so bad. In a completely different castle town from the Shishikusas. Daji's what'd I do? Daji's blood relatives are all samurais without exception. As in the Masaoka family, they were taught that those who bear the surname will devote themselves to their leader for as long as they live. The castle town that Daji's family lived in seemed safe, and the Masaoka clan was thriving. They relied as the strongest in a straightforward battle. As a result, the castle town's military commander was renowned. This caused the Masaoka clan to be considered a nuisance. At one point, the military commanders of the three castles surrounding the castle town joined forces and launched a surprise attack on Daji's castle town. As one would expect, it took time for the Masaoka clan to get back on its feet after the unexpected attack from the military commanders. But once they did, the commanders were done for. Mentioning again that the Masaoka clan is well known as the strongest, they managed to kill 2 out of the 3 commanders. The clans who partook as their troops and guards were almost annihilated. But even with the Masaoka clan's strength, they were unprepared. There was a surprise attack launched by a large army. In order to fight against this force, they needed all of the remaining clan members to take them on, as some had died in an attempt to murder the previous military commanders. A few of Daji's family were sent to the castle, and the rest met the army head-on, proposing a direct fight. Due to that moment of weakness, the castle town Daji lived in fell, and his clan was targeted, mostly because of their involvement in actions. Women and children were not spared. The blood of Daji's family was considered a major threat, resulting in most of the Masaoka clan either getting killed or escaping while hiding and abandoning their name. At the age of 7, Daji's mother ended up bringing him to the castle town of the Shishikusas, and that's where he lived ever since. His mother later died, probably because of old age or natural causes, and Daji still kept his original surname, Masaoka, refusing to abandon it or hide it. Then we move on to Akari. So Akari was born into the Aborozuka clan, or the Kitsune clan, and unlike the majority of the members, she is not physically disabled, instead being born with strange white hair. Of course referring to, the power that, was given to some of the people there since, the clan made contracts with gods. People are either disabled, have superpowers, or both. So some people in her clan hated her as a result of her unusual white hair. As when she was little, after they deceived her mother, telling her that they were giving her a gifted education, they would lock her in a room and abuse her under the pretense of teaching her. I probably went through that way too fast, and you probably heard education. Yeah, basically, a bunch of dudes, proposed to her mother that they would give Akari special education. However, in actuality, they were just, beating her up. So, excuse me. Until one day, seemingly being in a bad mood, they began kicking her and beating, and after assuring her mother that she was learning, Akari... Oh, I think I hit my mic, sorry. Akari then began bawling intensely, unable to take it anymore. That seemed to aggravate them, as one of them slapped her with all his strength. At that moment, something snapped inside Akari, and her fear turned into murderous intent. Seeing only red, the face of the one who slapped her contorted, and he began to suffer violently, clutching his chest as he writhed, painfully screaming. When the man died, silence rang out in the room for a while, until the men who were beating Akari began screaming hysterically, while banging at the door of the room that they locked themselves in. One of the men called her a monster and to stay away, and with that her murderous intent returned. I just hit my mic again, sorry. And the man who had screamed at her began slamming his head against the locked door until he fell dead. Seeing this, the remaining ones begged Akari to spare their lives and forgive them, feeling that their lives were in danger because of what they saw. Akari mocked this. The adults who were beating her just a moment ago were begging for their lives to a child. However, for a moment, she thought that she could possibly forgive them, but she remembered the pain that she suffered. The men began shaking, right before dying. Akari didn't know what was going on, and having heard the unusual screams, other adults came running in and unlocked the door. They were stunned when they saw Akari staring at her hair and eyes. She brought a handful of hair up to her. She saw crimson. After that, Akari began learning many things from her mother. She told her that her red eyes and white hair is proof of the calamity that marked the beginning of her clan, bestowed with a divine power, and that the only other person to have ever been born with this power is the founder of this clan. Realizing that she was a reincarnation of the founder, who had done many monstrous acts, Akari began calling herself a monster. So anyways, more stuff about the Shishikusa clan. The Shishikusa clan was the richest in their castle town. There were rumors about being cursed with many misfortunes after disrespecting or upsetting them. These rumors began when 4 people passing by Castletown made fun of Mai when she was little. Okay, so this is more stuff about Mai. So 3 of the men went missing, and 1 ran away from Castletown. Mai, according to many of the townspeople, was a very sweet and cute girl. She's very well liked due to her status as the only biological daughter of the clan and her attractiveness. Mai liked to sneak out of her overprotective home when she had the chance, and would get caught up in many shenanigans before Akari's curse affected her. So then there's more stuff about some stuff about Shizune Shishikusa. Excuse me. So not much is known about Shizune's past, but what is known is that a long time ago, the Shishikusas lent a large sum of money to her father, which he kept saying that he would return to them. So one day he disappeared, presumably with the money. Tominari, in a fury, ordered his subordinates with the help of the Yonaguma clan to search for him. He was eventually caught far outside the castle town of the Shishikusas, possibly to migrate or to move to a different castle town of another clan. When Shizune's father was brought back, he had been severely beaten, most likely by Tominari's subordinates. Tominari then threatened to kill him, even if he returned the money. When Shizune's father tried to apologize, Tominari thrust a dagger into the back of his hand, asking him if he has the money or not. Shizune's father convinced that he doesn't, and instead offered his 10-year-old daughter to be given to Tominari and his wife Ryo. Tominari dismissed him, as he already had a daughter. Ryo demanded that they are taken by him to see his daughter of his, and sell all of his house to pay for the money. Shizune's father took them to his house, but then escaped. Ryo noted how she hasn't seen him ever since. It is possible that he was chased by Tominari's men and then killed. Shizune was left behind before the man escaped, while bravely waiting for her father to return, not knowing that he abandoned her. Jesus Christ. Ryo approaches Shizune and asks for her name, and then she asks about what happened to her mother and about her whereabouts. Shizune reveals that her mother died from starving to death. Then Ryo asks about her father, which she replies that he is working hard so he is able to feed her. Rio, feeling pitiful, asked her to come with her, introducing herself to Shizune, and that she will live with her and her husband from now on. That's kind of cute, actually. Shizune objected, asking about her father, but Rio made up a story that she was sent by him after he had gone far away. In fact, Shizune will be returned to him when he comes back. With that, Shizune became a Shishikusa. Mai seemed delighted to have a little sister, while Shizune feeling the same. When Shizune reached 15 years of age, she told Rio and Tomonari that she wanted to return the favor to them by becoming a servant. They said it was alright, but she insisted. She lived with them until then, but after that she began to live with the rest of the servants in a dedicated building outside the mansion. Shizune had been assigned to help with the housework and to tidy up my surroundings, such as her room. One day while walking on the sidewalk, Chikyo appeared Oh, okay, so there's some stuff about, Emi and her deal with Shikyo. So one day while walking on the sidewalk, Shikyo appears before Emi and offers her a deal that will do her good. It is unknown to this day what she had offered Emi. So then we move on to some more modern stuff. So, okay, well, my stuff is falling down. Okay, it's fixed. It's fixed. We're all good. We're all good here. We're all good in the Prince household. Oh, I unplugged my notepad, my iPad, my notepad, which I'm gonna call it now because it's cool. I unplugged it accidentally. So let's just continue. We're going on modern day. More about the Shishikusa clan. So consisting of Rio Shishikusa, Mei named Monozuka, Mai Shishikusa, her daughter, Tomonari Shishikusa, Rio's husband and Mai's father, Jizune Shishikusa, their adopted daughter, Daji, their bodyguard, and other clan members. The basement of the family holds ceremonies, performances where the Shishikusa clan makes the most of their money. So then we got some stuff about Rio's sister and the birth of I forgot her name, but screw it. She's a minor character, to be honest. Kaori. Yeah, so Kaori Shishikusa. Some stuff about that. So, a servant who served Rio's sister and others named Sugawa impregnated her. This name was mentioned in the song. From the beginning, Kaori's birth was a strange phenomenon, as Rio's sister was an alcoholic who miscarried many times, but a theory could possibly explain it. A mirror is mentioned a lot in the song, so we can assume that Rio's sister owns a mirror in her room or household. But there's a catch. The mirror contained a demon, who is probably Shikyo, and having witnessed Rio's sister's many miscarriages, it decided to one day appear before her and aid her. In the dead of night, this Rio's sister was looking at a mirror while scrubbing her stomach, wondering if she would miscarry the baby in her womb again until the demon appeared and offered her a deal. The deal was that the baby in her womb would be born, but it would come at a price. The child would be a demon child, meaning that they would have to feed off, kill, and terrorize, in this case, animals. It is possible that the deal included animals, because Rio's sister lived on a farm, or near one. It is proven by the existence of livestock and animals near her, and Kaori mentioning in the song that she is holding a weapon that has a crescent moon shape, describing a sickle or a scythe, both of which are farming tools. Rio's sister accepted the deal, and Kaori was born without any issues. But as she reached 10 years of age, Kaori began killing and eating animals. The method that Kaori used to befriend animals could have been by luring them with a small drum in hand. Mentioned in the song before killing them using a sickle or a scythe. Then she proceeded to eat them, telling herself that she will do the same tomorrow as part of the demon's deal. So then we get to some stuff about, the everyday lives of, the Shishikusas. So on the 2nd of May, Daiji goes and wakes up Rio, and waits outside of their bedroom. They agree to herself good morning. Daiji excuses himself and then goes to wake up Mai. Then Mai and Daiji enter a specific room down the hall. Rio enters, and then they eat breakfast. And then blah blah blah, bunch of stuff happens. Mai asks her parents to go out and buy new clothing, and they agree, but only if Daiji is with her. And then some other stuff happens, and then Tamari informs Rio that a daimyo is coming to gamble today, as he is a heir to the Matsuwa clan family crest. This reminds him of a young boy belonging to that clan who supposedly has slayed a demon. Rio personally doesn't believe it, but of course she doesn't. She's a fucking atheist. Tominari and Rio head out to the fever, but before that she gives a piece of paper to Toki-san. And now I quickly just want to say, I said, of course she's like a fucking atheist. Of course, no shame to atheists if you don't believe in a higher power and believe in, science and stuff like that. Hey, more power to you, man. I respect that. I'm not trying to insult atheists. This channel is welcome to anyone of any religion or non-religion. So she gives a piece of paper to Toki-san, of course, coming back to this, which includes a recipe for tricolored dango, my favorite food. So then, so anyways, the day after they approach the theater at 8 o'clock, a little farther from the entrance, a fire is burning. Everyone is chatting. Surrounding the fire, talking with sake in their hand as the chilly night breeze blew over them. Sake, of course, being alcohol. I don't know if it's pronounced sake or sake. I was going to say sake because it's more fancy sounding. So, and more stuff happens. So anyways, so later in the day, in like a room, Daji sits behind Tominari, and he begins to explain to Rio that after today's meeting with the Demo, they have expressed that the theater performances and gambling have gone boring, and they are asking for something new. When Rio asks what they could do that could be considered new, Tominari admits that he doesn't know yet. Tominari and Daji attend a meeting with the Demo again later in the day, and they reveal that they want the Shishikusa's future to include a new performance, which is kidnapping women and killing them on stage, without the government office knowing. Tominari goes to break the news to Rio, and Daji waits for him so they can head out again later. They came back in the middle of the night and knock on Rio's room. They enter, and Tominari hands a piece of paper to Rio, which includes all the possible options of women. When Rio asks Tominari which one is the best, he says that the best is the beautiful teenage girl. But because of their budget, they decide on a woman in her 30s for now. Tominari excuses himself, and Rio asks Daji to stay behind so she can talk with him. Daji asks Rio what's the matter, and she asks his opinion on the matter. Daji immediately replies that Tominari's decisions are always correct. Rio asks again, emphasizing the fact that she is asking for what he thinks. Daji hesitates for a moment, but she tells him that he can be honest. Daji admits that he disagrees with Tominari's decision this time since, according to his usual intuition, he has a bad feeling about this. Of course he does, it's the on to be talking. Rio thanks him for his honesty and orders him to always protect Mai no matter what. Daji excuses himself. So, then more stuff happens, and then they finally get to the show. So a woman in her late 30s is brought to the theater, given the name Sachiko, and Daji informs Rio that Tominari is calling for her in order to talk. Late into the night, when the performance is about to begin, Daji and another man restrains Sachiko by both of her arms, and she demands that they let her go so she can perform. But she is forced to drink a gray liquid. Jesus Christ, I can't speak. By the man on Daji's side, in order to make her not feel any pain. She goes limp, her eyelids going heavy, and she is about to fall. She is propped up by Daji and different man with him. The performance is started after an opening speech by Tominari. Presumably, days after the performance, Tominari and Daji meet up with Rio and inform her of her uncle's disappearance, and that, after they brought an unusual girl with white long hair, the man who kidnapped her dropped dead. Tominari concludes that she must be from the Kitsune clan, seeing that her hair color is white, which is a common color that women from that clan are born with. He then shows her a book that reads a story about a man who visited that clan, describing how his village has been cannibalized itself as a result of Shikio's possession. Yeah, we already know about that story. And then, we get to a few days later. So Tominari knows that people have gone missing, and there has been sightseeing of a demon outside their clan's castle town. He says that he will go to the government office. When Rio demands to go with him, he dismisses her. So she secretly sends Rio to watch over him. Apparently, there's another person named Rio, except instead of an O, it's a U. After a while, a deafening noise is heard in the ground shaking. Daji runs to check on Rio with an O, asking her if she is alright. Rio tells him that a noise has come from the back gate, and Daji says that a man named Matsuyoshi has been given the duty of guarding the gate. Daji tells Ryo to wait behind him, and he swiftly approaches the gate with his hand on the katana on his waist. He shouts for Matsuyoshi, but he doesn't receive a reply. Daji proceeds to effortlessly lift the large bar of the gate with one hand and toss it aside. A flash, he puts his hand back on his katana and slowly opens the gate with his foot. After the gate is opened, Daji looks around what is outside the gate for a while before he closes the gate again. Returning the latch and stabbing a small sword through it. With this, the bar can't be removed unless the sword is removed first. Daji returns to Ryo and tells her that there is a gash in the wall next to the gate and that Matsuyoshi is nowhere to be seen. Ryo asks Daji if he thinks Tominari would be alright, and he replies as much as he wants to go and check, he can't leave her in Mai in the mansion after what he's seen. He tells her that it's dangerous outside, and it's best that they stay inside while he keeps an eye on the front gate. Ryo agrees and enters to look for Mai. After checking in on Mai, Ryo returns to the front gate where Daji is standing and asks him if anything unusual has happened. Daji replies that there is nothing strange going on except for the disappearance of Matsuyoshi. When Ryo asks if it's possible he was kidnapped, Daji says that it's a possibility, as he was with him all of his shift, so he couldn't be at the back gate now. They both fall silent, but they are interrupted by the sound of something hitting the front gate multiple times. Daji tells Ryo to stand back and rest toward the gate with his hand on his katana. Daji asks who it is, and a reply comes from Tominari, asking him to open the gate. He removes the bar from the gate and lets him in. Tominari then tells Daji to come with him. When he asks why, Tominari admits that something went wrong and they must go to his room to discuss it. They head towards Ryo, and when she asks Tominari about Ryo with a U, who she has sent after him, Tominari says that he didn't see him and tells Ryo to also come to his room with Daji. When they enter the room, Daji sits next to Ryo, crossing Tominari, and he reveals that the whole office has been attacked and that all of them were killed for an act of fun, which means that Ryo with an U is most likely dead. Ryo with an O breaks down when she realizes that she caused Ryo with an U's death by sending him after Tominari, but her husband tells her to calm down right before she passes out. After taking Ryo with an O to her room, Tominari Tominari talks with Daji and he tells him that the girl from the Kitsune clan will be dealt with tonight in the theater, and from the demo, and goes to inform Ryo of this. At night, Tominari and Daji are having a briefing with several other people in the theater as Ryo enters the deal with the girl. So, the girl, with long white hair, was captured and brought to the Shishakusa representatives. They tie her up, lock her in the basement, and put a bag over her head. This girl was captured, strange as the girl in Castletown, which of course, we already talked about, and on the day of her dissection, she is sent in front of an audience. When the girl with white, long hair, who is Akari, she blinks out and wakes up in a place she doesn't recognize and meets with Shikyo. Shikyo proposes a deal to Akari. While she thinks about it, she transports her mind to Tsukiyomi's Wakatan Palace. She tells Tsukiyomi that she has met with Shikyo. Tsukiyomi panics and tells her she has to get away from her, because Shikyo is possibly trying to trick her in some way. So meanwhile, the executioner drops his blade and violently convulses until he collapses and dies on the spot. Other strange occurrences happen, and Ryo has had enough. She pulls out her demon blade and attacks Akari, causing her intestines to splutter about. Akari curses at Ryo, beginning to cry, impersonating Mai as she weeps and screams in pain, telling her that it hurts. Ryo doesn't give in and stabs her a second time. When Akari stops moving, Ryo turns to the audience, spreads her bloodied hands and begins to laugh. But before Akari dies, she curses Ryo's family with the abnormality of eating people that will continue for 100 years to come. When Akari is announced dead, they bury her in a shrine on the outskirts of Castletown, leaving the Shishakusas with the curse. 3 days after the girl's death at Ryo's hands, things somewhat become normal. After doing the dirty work for Tominari, which includes killing men and samurais who oppressed him, Daji returns, and in the morning he approaches Mai's room and waits outside until she is up. So other filler stuff happens, and she has her restroom as for Daji to leave. When she asks why, she gestures to the bathroom, but she tells her that he can just wait outside until she finishes. Okay, so Mai decided to go to the bathroom, and Daji's standing outside. So supposedly, When Kaneshiro and the Borozuka brothers approach the mansion from the front gate, Dachi is attacked and is left heavily injured right before being found by Toki-san, the cook of the house. Toki-san brings him into the house, with her and the other servants trying to treat his injuries. Mai stumbles on the site, asking about what happened, but Dachi just tells her to stay away from here. Shizune is assigned by Toki-san to calm down Mai and to go to her room after she saw what happened. As they walk to their destination, Mai is yanked towards Shizune and falls over. Shizune is then heard screaming from the courtyard, showcasing a huge human-like thing standing by the tree there, holding Shizune in the grasp of its large hand. The creature raised Shizune above its head, swung her back and forth. Ren proceeded to fool Shizune as she screamed, and as Mai watched, only 2 legs and a smashed head were in the grasp of its hand now, making it clear that Shizune was dead. As a result, a messenger is sent to Ryo and Tominari to inform them of Dachi's injuries and Mai and Shizune's disappearances. When Ryo and Tominari arrive, she falls to her knees and begins to weep for Mai. Tominari asks the servants about Dachi's condition, why he was alone, and why Mai wasn't by his side. They reply that he's still unconscious, so they haven't asked him yet. So anyway, sometime after this, Mai is kidnapped by a strange man with snake eyes who is Kaneshiro, as she describes him. Mai looks him in the eyes after he brought her human parts, or human body parts, in whatever secret base Kaneshiro has. Her body begins to move on its own as she is forced to eat them. After her stomach keeps bringing the parts back up, she eventually eats it all without hesitation, screaming about how delicious it is, leaving Kaneshiro in partial confusion as to why Mai is eating the human flesh so reluctantly. Eventually, Kaneshiro leaves Mai near the outskirts of the castle town, and she is found barely conscious the next morning. As she is brought home, the only word she utters is eat. So anyways, things go back to normal after that. Even after several days pass by, Dachi is still unconscious, and Shizune, who is, dead, still hasn't been found. Next, we skip over to Mai's 18th birthday, where her cousin Kaori visits her, along with many of her relatives. During this party, a relative of the Shishakusas goes missing. Mai is nowhere to be seen. Ryo finds her, and Mai tells her mother that she was in the bathroom, leaving Ryo to immediately see through her lie. Apparently, blood had also been found in her bathroom while she was gone. Her parents become concerned and decide to talk to Mai privately about it. When Ryo asks Mai why she has been lying to her, Mai stays quiet. Eventually, she confesses to eating the person who had gone missing. She then proceeds to lunge at her father and bite him in the neck, eating and chomping at it. Then, Mai turns to Ryo and chomps at her neck as well, eating her own mother. Mai then eats the rest of her parents' corpses. It is assumed that... apparently, then after that, apparently, Mai and Akari's spirit and Kari's spirit meet. They both meet and were probably introduced to each other through a strange woman named Emmy, who we already talked about a little bit before. It is unknown whether or not Mai's romantic feelings towards Akari were returned. Apparently, Mai and Kari's meeting had erased Shikyo, since she and Akari were supposed to have never met, and it was said that their meeting would have caused great calamity. A few days after the incident of Mai ending her parents, she was spotted by a close friend of the Shishakusas, and he claims that she was seen at the underground performance stage. It appears that Mai is starting to slowly descend into complete madness due to Akari's curse, eating more and more people from Castletown and possibly others. Shikyo also appears a bit, and it's extremely furious. She's screaming at the top of her lungs. This is due to her being angry with Akari and Mai for ignoring fate and ending up meeting because terrible things would happen if they met. And if they did in fact meet. After Mai's frenzied state and her devouring many people in her clan as a result of Akari's curse, it seems that she has finally calmed down. She then begins to see skeletons surrounding her, and she walks through the now empty castle town. The skeletons could possibly be mocking Mai and this village, and displaying Shikyo's immense power, as this incident was caused by her. Next, Mai begins talking about a lively place where money takes away all the pain, which could possibly be of the underground theater. Then the skeletons finally begin the beheading dance performance in the Shishakusa's theater, dancing around Mai, which is most likely an order from Shikyo, the Kari present to witness Mai's beheading. Towards the end, Shikyo proceeds to behead Mai. The method of her beheading is unknown, but it could possibly be by a guillotine or a sharp object, possibly the blade that Ryo had. Well, that would be pretty poetic, to be honest. Then Mai is shown holding her bleeding head as a skull is formed on it, possibly taking the place of the Anabi, portrayed by two red eyes above. This could be alluring to the fact that Mai is finally feeling the Anabi's suffering. At the end, Mai's head is put in a basket and it's returned to Akari. It is possible that Akari began looking for Mai's body, as shown by her asking a weeping cat where it's buried. As Mai laid headless in her last moments, she dreams of a happy world inside her decapitated head, in which she could have stayed with Akari and lived a happy and joyous life with her. Then, of course, since Akari cursed Ryo's bloodline, as a result, Kaori is now affected by the curse too. Now, Kaori copes by eating and killing the livestock of the clan. She got tired from her mother's abuse and decided to end it all. Not by suicide, but by a flippant game of Kagame Kagame to play outside with her mother and friends, which are, of course, remaining livestock. And Ryo's sister, as a result of alcohol and tiredness, agreed, so Ryo's sister sat in the middle, while Kaori and the animals circled her. As the game went on, Kaori killed the animals one by one, possibly with a sickle, with Ryo's sister not taking notice as an effect of the alcohol, until there were no animals left in the circle. Kaori went behind her mother, and bit her or injured her in her neck, then proceeded to eat her along with the remaining animals until there were none left. And at the end, Kaori ran away from Castletown before it got barricaded. 11 years, or not 11, but 100 years after Mai's beheading and the Castletown massacre, which, keep in mind, only Kaori survived, Akari's been confirmed to have been sealed in her clan's altar, the same one Tsukiyomi was trapped in. Shikyo just continued on for evil godly doings, whereas Emi's fate has been confirmed. The result of the vengeful spirit of the Anabi. You don't know what it is, or who she is exactly, but there is a common fear that the Anabi is an amalgamation made of the spirits of the victims who have suffered under the hands of the Shishikusas, mostly Ryo. Their feet are being killed and sold only for entertainment. They then awakened when Akari cursed Ryo, most likely as a result of her immense powers. After that, they began seeking revenge from Ryo and her daughter, Mai, for their parts in their suffering. Then there is a mysterious Gumi, a descendant of Kaori whom appears in Will-o'-the-Wisp and is affected by Akari's curse. There's also the mysterious Miku doll, and she is really confusing, but it's a fact that she has a relation to Emi specifically as they look similar. So a bit of backstory about Emi. She was a doll maker. There's a theory that expands on this. She makes dolls, sure, but those dolls possess spirits or yokais, so they are essentially a living being. So Emi makes a doll, which is the mysterious Miku, but she somehow manages to make the Anabi possess this doll, take it as some sort of vessel. The reason why is because of Emi herself, as she has been given the name of Senju Kanon, the goddess of mercy, whose sole drive was to allow souls to escape from endless suffering. Emi could have possibly been described this way, because she made the doll specifically to try to relieve the Anabi's suffering, the torturing of the Shishikusa's feeder. The reason for why the doll, the Anabi, is with the mysterious Gumi is unknown, but the most logical answer would be that Emi made it and gave it to Kaori. It was passed down to generations and ended up with this Gumi. This could possibly be part of Emi's plan to relieve the Anabi's suffering, by making it meet its tormentor face to face. The mysterious Gumi got the doll, the mysterious Miku, and the doll possessed the spirit of the Anabi. Gumi somehow knew this and began wishing it would die for the pain it caused her family for helping curse him for generations. The doll shared the same feelings, wishing for Gumi's death while mocking and cursing her by saying that she doesn't understand her suffering, while also resenting her for being a cannibal and murdering people in her village because of Kari's curse. But Gumi didn't pay her any mind, and continued to hate her more and more, even tearing her up and bending her neck to try and kill her. While the Anabi/doll, in return, got more and more furious. The red Anabi, portrayed by the red Anabi with the bent neck of a song. Essentially, the Miku Anabi doll decided it's time for this to end, and began plotting to murder Gumi, so she hid in her closet and waited for her to sleep. Gumi got home and slept, while the doll got out of the closet and murdered her in her sleep, probably by beheading, cut her up, and then hid her parts in her closet. It is shown in the song that the doll is ecstatic to have finally killed Gumi, repeating, "I did it! I did it!" alluding to how Vyanabe finally got back at her tormentors after years of pain. But after some time, Gumi came back, seen by her smiling at the end of the song. Reason for this is unknown, but theories can be made. She either got reincarnated, or her spirit came back as a result of Akari's curse finally wearing off at the 100th generation. While Vidal/Anabe screams in annoyance and agony at the end, because she still couldn't get rid of her, and could never relieve her suffering. So then we move on to the secret story arc of this. So with the first song, starting off with the first song, of course. So the song tells the story of two women lusting over each other, possibly reincarnations of Akari and Mai. For an unknown reason, they began to put all of their desires into a presumably cursed box they created and named a secret goldfish. At some point of the song, it escalates into cutting their own body parts and stuffing them into the box as part of an idea, where they can make a friend from scratch. The box is later passed on to the next pair, where the same thing repeats itself again. Possibly taking a few weeks, months, or even years at the events of Mitsu no Hako, the first song, the box is obtained by an unnamed woman portrayed by Gumi. The woman's best friend, portrayed by Hatsune Miku, finds out about the box she had hidden away from her. In doing so, the best friends face the consequences. To make the best friend truthfully seal the promise, the unnamed woman assumably gauges her friend's eyeballs out and tortures her. Then we move on to a combination of the Lyra story and the sister story. With the two sisters, Tsukiyomi and Amaterasu, with Tsukiyomi being the elder one, described as mature, whereas Amaterasu is the younger one, described as playful. As children, Tsukiyomi notices that her younger sister hates and envies her for being beautiful and getting positive attention from their peers, thus calling Amaterasu a Hanya, which is the Japanese term for a jealous woman, who turned into a demon because of her envy. Describing Amaterasu's behavior, now she is acting perfectly. And so, due to this, Amaterasu, being troublesome, begins talking about Amaterasu and begins talking about Tsukiyomi and lying about her. So, a bunch of stuff about cut tongues and stuff like that. And there's also the fate of Amaterasu, being her tongue being cut or something like that. But we all know that's not actually that. Because, this takes place on Amaterasu's 7th birthday, where both her and Tsukiyomi get into a petty argument and fight, which results in Amaterasu stabbing Tsukiyomi in the abdomen with a staff, killing her. And thus begins Amaterasu's punishment. So then after this, Amaterasu proceeds to bury her sister secretly at night. As she does this, she sings and dances around the grave, telling her dead sister that she loves her. With Tsukiyomi gone, Amaterasu takes her place and pretends to be her, thus covering up her crime and making it as if it was her, Amaterasu, who had died. A decade passes. After deceiving everyone, Amaterasu is now in her adolescent years, still with the appearance of her dead sister minus the glasses. She begins to believe that she really is Tsukiyomi, and that her sister is out to kill her after seeing a spirit that looks like an older version of her, who is in reality Tsukiyomi's spirit, disguised as her original self, trying to confuse her. Getting confused yet? Probably are, but we're still talking about this. We're still going on. So anyways, Tsukiyomi's plan succeeds, and as by Amaterasu's 19th birthday, her sanity unravels as she questions her own identity, unable to remember which sister she is. Her appearance changes. Her side is cut up short with an almost bare forehead, while another is tied in a single twin tail with long bangs. Looking in the mirror, Amaterasu sees them both as one person, as if their souls become one. When, in reality, they're still two different people. I am you, and you are me. By now, Amaterasu truly starts to believe that she is a vessel that holds two souls, hers and her sister, Tsukiyomi. She lets out a cry as she hears her sister's screams from inside of her stomach, making Amaterasu stab herself in the same place as she stabbed Tsukiyomi. For her 7th birthday, in order to escape her madness and the voice of her sister, she keeps hearing, therefore ending 2 lives at once. At the end, while bleeding to death, she realizes that she is, in reality, Amaterasu, and that she killed Tsukiyomi, not the other way around. It is then implied in the song and PV that Tsukiyomi, once Amaterasu died, possesses her body and lives on. Then we go off over to the Maha story, where demons from hell were unsatisfied with something, probably the living conditions of hell, and decided to rebel, starting a huge battle with the angels of heaven, attempting to prevent them from entering the heavens of the human world. Afterwards, the devil is frozen in hell by a knight's prison by the strange powers of a character called Makai's true ancestor. Yet, the Makoto is still not satisfied, and headed to the Peru Mountains to try to drop heaven, where they reconcile and end the battle. Centuries later, a new story begins in the city of Encantada, located in Egypt. But first, before that, we're going to talk about, a few years earlier, or like a good few decades earlier, with Nina, who is the first ever vampire, granting her immortality. She is also the mother of Sarah Claude Les Elizabeth Chlordane, who she gave birth to in the middle of a battle on the Hill of Crosses, was being protected by Jean. However, she sadly died a century ago as a result of a complicated birth. So, then we got Beatrice, who is Nina's rival or something, I guess, who she was fighting. So Beatrice, who was a guide at the top of Purgle Mountain and once brought Dante to heaven. She was infamous for stopping the advancement of Nina Claude Les Elizabeth's only wartime battle. Now, then we get this line. Now we have to see Virgilus to me without anyone knowing where we are. Whatever the hell that means. So, and then we got this character Jean, who's like Nina's partner. So Jean is basically the head of the Knights of San Marco, who served the Ametiel, to serve the first dragon knight Phyrexia, sealed at the time of the wise men, to defend the weak Nina and child born during a battle against the stone blood of Gargoyle and petrified, but after a long time passes Chlordane and is rescued. Then we got this person, Minagi, who is like another enemy of Nina and Jean. So Minagi is the world's best bounty hunter. It is said that Nina Claude Les Elizabeth had used the Hill of Crosses to erase the city from the very strength of the slaughter of gods or demons in her fight against the Clover. Her blade is called the four-leaf blade. So then we got some stuff about Chlordane, who was the child of the last vampire, Nina Claude Les Elizabeth, who had given birth to her in the middle of a war and died shortly thereafter, leaving Chlordane an orphan. As a child of Nina, she has control over the Hill of Crosses, but it was eventually destroyed. She persuaded many people to join Maha, such as Shogun and Fen, and revived Mori and Phyrexia, two of the immortal demons who had been sealed away, managing to persuade them to join as well. Oddly enough, even though she stole books from Maria Kanzaki, she still got her to join. Speaking of Maria, Chlordane is said to be very particular about her, which is likely suggested she has a crush or something akin to that on Maria. So, and then we got some stuff about Maria, who started off as a very respectable scientist who studied human souls and spirits. Even though that type of research is illegal, she is supported by the government, and she worked for them until she started experimenting on people, even on her own family, and performing taboo rituals that eventually got her expelled. She then discovered the Books of the Dead, ancient Egyptian relics that she used to summon Tsukiyomi, one of the three immortal demons that were sealed to prevent the destruction of the world. She is then contacted by 14, who is in reality 20-year-old Chlordane, and asked to join Maha. Both her and Tsukiyomi agree, and after that, Maria becomes the priestess of Maha. So then, of course, Chlordane and one of her trusted friends, Rakrai, unsealed the demon Morian, and he became a member of Maha. And then along with Morian, Maria, Phyrexia, Fen, Decoy, Anubis, and Shogun, they all joined Maha as well. It is also assumed that a woman called Echidna joins Maha at this time. She just wasn't featured in the song. Then we got Morian, who's now free, discovers the city of Encantada and kills a drug dealer named Voru. Fearing for the safety of Maha, Echidna sacrifices a prostitute and exotic dancer, who is deemed chimera by the community, in order to attempt to appease him, which he accepts. Some lines in the lyrics hint that the two later devour the dancer's corpse. Then we got something that has to do with a war in heaven with this dude named Antisuti Le Gabriel, who is one of the 8 archangels and one of the few with thunder powers. Her back thunder makes her appear as a demon, but she is indeed an angel, and she apparently clashed with Chlordane on the stairway to heaven. And then we got something that takes place 200 years later in the future, with a Maha member who faced off against a government officer during the creation of Maha. In the song, the Maha member preaches about her beliefs, facing off against a government officer who is willing to erase her of her faith. which she considers fake, but refusing to fight, believing that the mountain gods she worshipped will handle the situation. At the end of the song, the Maha member seems to repeat the government officer's lyrics. This most likely means that she set aside her beliefs and agreed to fight her enemy directly. And we finally got a march to the afterlife with Mai, Akari, a bunch of other people, and we also have Tsukiyomi, like from Sister Story, who apparently is still in Amaterasu's body, and that's basically it. Is this probably an accurate representation of the storyline? Fuck no, of course not. Ugh, but it's probably like the closest we're ever gonna get. Since this video is already like an hour long already, I'm just gonna end it here. This is of course, gonna be the end of this series for now, until something comes up. And tomorrow we're gonna start a new series for gaming. Or, well, more specifically, one specific game that I mentioned in like one video on Nightcore's Dream Journal. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. To see more dumb videos by me. And of course, everything in this video was just a theory. And on a be theory. Thanks for watching.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.